From people camping out for weeks to stalking the net in the wee hours of the morning, all to just potentially snag this phone. I personally don't know any other phone where this is the norm that doesn't seem to run off of an invite system to purchase it, which might leave some to question what's the hype. Why do iPhone users or enthusiasts do this? Well, honestly, I really don't know, but I do know that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus were just as hard to purchase as the previous iPhone models. But is it worth the money or even the effort to buy? Let's talk. With the very familiar design of the iPhone 6, the 7 looks and feels practically the same in hand, with only minor differences that distinguish the two, like the removal of the antenna band on the back, which gave it a sleeker look, or the addition of a wider, slightly bulkier camera bump on the Plus model, and 2 new colors to the lineup that had people going nuts by asking that common question, matte black or jet black? Now personally, I went with the matte black after seeing it in person because initially I thought it wasn't going to be as dark as it was, but it's actually just as dark as the jet black, just without the gloss. However, mine is still in transit, so for this review, I have the rose gold iPhone 7 Plus and rose gold iPhone 7. Now comfort-wise, the phone is still slippery and feels pretty much exactly the same as the iPhone 6. Your volume buttons and mute switch are still along the left side, and your power button is along the right, and your speakers are at the bottom with your lightning port. But oh, did Apple piss some people off by removing that headphone jack. I originally thought it wouldn't faze me much, but I realized that I used that headphone port a lot more than I thought. So oftentimes I found myself kind of like this. Or this. And I thought these things wouldn't be an issue as often as they have been, but I was sadly mistaken. And each time I find myself pretty much shaking my head as I try to retrain myself how to use my phone. So now I either ensure that I have my lightning headphones on me, or I have the adapter already connected to my regular headphones, or I just use Bluetooth. Either way, none of these are really convenient, especially if you're going to be using your headphone with other devices. So while some people are fussing about potentially losing Apple's new AirPods, I'm worried about their stupid adapter. Now, in addition to missing that headphone port, some of you may find that you also miss the old home button as well, as this is also changed. So no longer do you press your home button and actually feel it suppress into the phone. You now apply force to your home button and feel the Taptic engine inside create a vibration that's going to simulate the feel of pressing your home button, accompanied by an audible click from the speaker. Genius, I know. So this feels to me almost like the entire bottom of my phone is being pressed down, or at least a good portion of it, but in reality it's not. It's just that Taptic engine playing tricks on my mind, and you can even customize the feedback it provides via your settings, just in case you want to decrease or increase its intensity. And oddly enough, when your phone is off, your home button does nothing, so it won't simulate a click or press in this state at all. Now I did find that it took less pressure for your iPhone 7 to respond versus the iPhone 6, which is nice because that's going to help in the area of durability. But due to this change, doing simple tasks like pulling up a multitask switcher or taking a screenshot just kind of felt different, and it took a little bit of getting used to. However, in contrast to that, my phone pretty much came to life in a new way during regular interactions. I now feel subtle feedback when adjusting the date or time, as it does simulate the spin of a mechanical wheel with audio clicks and quick taps to accompany it. I also found myself invoking a tap when I hit the limit for zooming in or out, or even when I would just pull down my notification center. And I could feel each firework bursting in my phone when I use this text effect. Sometimes it's the little touches that leave that lasting impression. Things seem a bit more unified now, as pretty much all interactions are completed with the press or tap. So what about that new A10 chip? Well, you won't notice much of a difference during average use in comparison to the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. However, where the iPhone 7 excels at are in other areas we may overlook, like juggling apps during multitasking, as it can background more applications and reduce load times during this process. And you won't notice a very large difference in doing everyday tasks, especially with iOS 10, because these cool animations kind of slow things down a bit. I'd rather have things snap in and out versus zoom and pop in and out. It just kind of makes my device feel a little bit faster. Apple also mentioned that the battery life should be better than its predecessors. I found this to be true, as with my iPhone 7 Plus, I was able to get through the entire day and not have to charge my device until close to midnight. Which is nice, because there's nothing worse than having to fret about your battery and manually reconfigure your settings on the fly to consistently conserve it. And it's also nice to not have to fret about your device getting wet, as the iPhone 7 is water and dust resistant, so accidental spills, dives, or splashes won't be the death of your iPhone any longer. However, a display with the same resolution as last year have left many people questioning questioning this decision. But Apple did throw in a wider color gamut, which produces a more accurate color to provide a truer representation of the world. It's a slight noticeable change, more so when devices are placed side by side with other iPhone models, is when you'll notice the colors pop a bit more than the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, which also helps a little when using the phone in direct sunlight, as the screen can get about 25% brighter. And the new stereo speakers help in enjoying your videos, as it produces a richer and fuller sound, with audio being projected from the bottom right and the top center of your device. So things were louder and easier to hear with this addition, making content more immersive with almost a vibration-like rumble to things. Now, all of the things that I just mentioned are found in the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, but one thing that sets them apart is that camera. This is the deal breaker feature that makes some users who want a smaller device actually jump up to the Plus, simply because the camera is that much better. Both options feature optical image stabilization, 4K recording, a 7-megapixel selfie camera, and a 12-megapixel shooter on the back, but the Plus now has a wide-angle telephoto camera. This means you can zoom into your photo and maintain picture clarity as long as you don't bump it past 2x, which is really nice for lots of scenarios when you're not as close to your subject, such as at a concert. I really love using this feature to get in closer to the stage without losing picture quality in the process. And the 7 Plus has another unique feature: portrait mode. So this adds a nice blur or bokeh to the background, which is ideal for portrait photography, but it really struggled in low light conditions to produce a pleasing image. Yet and still, without this feature on, I loved how the camera performed in low light settings, as images still appeared sharp and colorful with the appropriate amount of contrast for darker colors and little noise to be noticed. All of my food shots look just as appetizing in pictures as it did in person. And the optical zoom provided nice telephoto and macro shots of random things like the rim of my drink over here. And videos were amazingly clear in 4K or 1080p, allowing me to relive some moments as if I was still there. So this is the front-facing camera on the iPhone 7 and the quality that it can get. So
subscribe to Tech Me Out.
Now, I do have a vlog that I shot entirely on the new iPhone 7 Plus, so it's either live now or it's going to be live, but either way, you'll be able to find it in the description. But overall, I was very pleased with the camera upgrades and could definitely notice the improvements. iOS 10 kind of put the cherry on top of things by adding even more of a new feel with further integration of widgets and Notification Center, which is now accessible from a swipe on your lock screen. Absolutely handy. Or the complete revamp of messages, as you can add more emotion to your conversation with bubble effects, stickers, and games that can be played all from within iMessages. And thanks to this software update, I actually use 3D Touch now, because in iOS 9 was an easily forgotten feature. But now I find that I receive more useful options when I 3D Touch an app on my home screen, which is definitely a major key for me. I could rave on and on about all the cool things iOS 10 brings, but I won't. At least not in this video. But I will say these changes were so great, it helped the device feel newer because the update came with the release of the phone. So I've covered quite a bit about Apple's new flagship device, and I'm sure Android fanboys will rave within the comments how some of these changes are outdated and other devices had them first. But that's the thing, it's not about who did it first, it's about who did it best. And I'll leave that for you to judge based on your own personal preferences on who does. But between hardware and software changes, I've enjoyed using the iPhone 7 Plus, and I do recommend it, especially if you're moving up from an iPhone 6 or earlier. Now, if you're wondering if the frustrations that I voiced make me regret purchasing the iPhone 7, the answer is no. Despite my aggravation in the scenarios that I mentioned before, the pros outweigh the cons in terms of how I enjoy the 7 Plus, so no, I don't regret it. And with the starting price off contract of $649, it's definitely not cheap, but neither is the quality and the user experience that you're getting, because that Apple ecosystem is practically unmatched.